What's going on YouTube? It's Pyromancer here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Now, just first of all, I have all my bedding off my bed, just got a new one, and so I'm washing it all. Please don't let that distract you too much. Without further ado, let's jump into this. I want to talk to you guys today about Sargeras, his intentions, his methods, and how he ultimately may actually have been right. Now, before you guys get your pitchforks and torches out, I want to let you know this is not going to be a video that just claims Sargeras did nothing wrong. I know there's enough of a meme about that. We don't need any more going into that. But I'm going to expose to you guys some very interesting things that I've noticed on the Cosmic Forces map, some things that I just have noticed in the game. It's time to draw some things together. And it's time to lorecraft today. So let's get into this. I want to show you guys the Cosmic Forces map. If you guys aren't familiar, this is out of Chronicle Volume 1. If you guys haven't read the Chronicle books, fantastic. You really need to go check them out, especially if you're interested in the lore of the game. There's so much hidden information in Chronicle. You really got to go and check it out before you can really grasp everything. Now, I don't know that I fully trust Chronicle, but that is a different point. I do think that there are errors on this Cosmic Forces map. I do not think it's complete, and I think that moving forward in the Warcraft universe, we may see some things added, changed, or altered in some way. Now, let me show you how this works, right? So this is a map that shows you all of the different forces in the WoW universe. Don't mind that little screenshot I just went to. We will get to that. And it shows you Azeroth as the reality. Then we have the Emerald Dream and the Shadowlands. Basically, the way I look at it, the Emerald Dream and Shadowlands are kind of like heaven and hell. That's kind of how I look at it. Then we have the primal elements, spirit, fire, air, decay, earth, and water. Then we have the higher acting powers within the universe. We have the Wild Gods. We have the Naru, the Burning Legion, the Titans, the Old Gods, and Undead. Now, here, just first of all, I think this is part of the Chronicle for the Cosmology map anyway. That is wrong. I think the Old Gods go here on Death, and I think the Void Lords go here for Old Gods. I do not think the Old Gods actually are created from the Void. I think at this point they're working on behalf of the Void, but that's a separate video for a separate day. Then you have the different types of magic. You have Nature, Arcane, Necromantic, Fel, Holy Magic, and Shadow Magic, or Void Magic. And then you have the actual primal forces of the universe themselves, that being Light, Disorder, Death, Shadow, Order, and Life. Now, there are certain correlations between the two, but you should look at all of them as individual rings, and therefore not directly correlated with what is next to them. There are certain ways to tie it together, but the Titans being next to the Void doesn't necessarily make them of the Void. There could just be some type of relationship there between Shadow and the Titans, or Arcane and Shadow, or something to that regard. Now, what has Sargeras' mission been? If you guys don't know, basically the story goes that Sargeras found a planet so engrossed and enthralled with void energies that he decided to cleave the planet in half, killing the Titan within it, but also obliterating any void presence on the planet. He then goes back to the Pantheon. This is way back before everything happened, back when they're ordering the universe. They're going around and ordering things the best way that they see them fit, that they think is perfect, which, by the way, we, sentient, free-willed beings like humans, like dwarves, like things that came from the curse of flesh, and even other things, we were not really a part of their plan. The free will in everything that we gained from the curse of flesh, the Titans never really wanted, and it actually has been their greatest folly. The fact that we unfortunately are born of flesh, because we seem to get into a lot of people's plans that we weren't anticipated to get into. The Titans didn't see it coming. The Void couldn't understand everything that we try to do. The Light can't. There are so many different forces that we think are all-knowing, but those forces actually can't even act because they cannot predict what beings of free will do. I think that's really interesting because it's very hard to have order when you have free will. Therefore, you would think that we actually, naturally, beings of free will, would likely be a liability for the Titans. And actually, on that note, we are going to talk about the intentions of Sargeras. Now, getting back on track, he essentially went back to the Pantheon, and they were like, no, you can't do that, that's not okay. They didn't trust that it was as bad as he thought it was. They thought that they could simply go in there and just cleanse the planet and everything would be okay. But as we all know, they were never able to test that. Unfortunately, Sargeras struck the Pantheon down, and their souls were then flung by Norgannon across the expanses of the Great Dark Beyond towards Azeroth. The rest is history. Now, one thing is that we don't really know what Sargeras' plan was. All we know is that Sargeras had a plan to use the power of Fel to actually go around and really, the way that we see it, destroy worlds. But I don't think Sargeras was going around destroying worlds. I think the only world, in fact, that Sargeras likely even destroyed was Argus. And to be fair with you guys, we're going to talk about it. I don't know if Argus is actually as destroyed as we think. We'll get into that. We have seen void planets. We have seen regular planets, though, planets that seem uncorrupted. But how was Sargeras going around and doing this? Well, through the power of Fel. Thing is that Queen Ashara, way back, tried to summon Sargeras through the Well of Eternity. In the spot where Yesharaj had been ripped out, the Well of Eternity had coalesced, they had contained it. Ashara was planning on using that alongside the Dragon Soul to bring Sargeras through. But as we zoom in on the Primal Forces map here, you can see that Sargeras, after the closing of the Well of Eternity, seems to be stuck somewhere. Now, we have a demon hand, we have a regular hand holding his non-corrupted sword. However, the sword is kind of being embellished in the fire and the chaos that we see here with the Fel. We also see some tentacle type things. They could be roots as well, but I'm not exactly sure if this is supposed to be representative of roots, like a tree. If I could stop stuttering, that'd be great, with his connection to life through the other Titans in some manner. Then we have the Shadowland here as well, but there's also like a Titan kind of thing here. It looks almost like a building from Ulduar, like up on the mountains up there in Storm Peaks. So I think that's really interesting. I think this is also potentially indicative of the Shadowlands, as the Shadowlands look very similar in nature. However, I can't really say for sure, and without having anything that entirely explains it, we don't really know what these forces actually represent. It just seems that Sargeras was, for a while, bound between several different forces, maybe Fel, maybe life, maybe death. He seems to be stuck between them. However, Sargeras is mainly attributed to Fel and disorder. Evil, right? Terrible. The Fel is evil. Well, is it though? Because Fel is literally just magic that is chaotic in nature, whereas arcane is magic that is just ordered in nature. Then you have nature magic, necromantic magic, shadow magic, and holy magic. Now, here's one thing that you have to understand. You can't look at the World of Warcraft universe as good and evil because, theoretically speaking, good and evil don't exist. Good is only what you, personally, as an individual, accept as good. So there are some people, for example, take religion. Some people follow a Christian faith. Some people follow a Mormon faith. Some people follow a Muslim faith. And one is not necessarily inherently evil. There may be evil people that do evil things in the name of said religion, but they're not necessarily evil by nature themselves. That's how you kind of have to look at the forces in the universe of WoW. So just because Fel is a chaotic source of magic doesn't necessarily mean that it's evil. The thing is that we think the light is good and benevolent. However, we've seen through Zera that the light definitely has motive, and it's kind of a bit of a sketchy motive, because Illidan didn't want to be Lightforged, but Zera said, you know what, I'm going to try to make you Lightforged, whether you want to or not. This is the prophecy, and this is how it has to be. So light certainly has a strange motive, and I think we have yet to really discover what that is. However, the Shadow, we know the motive is allegedly just consuming literally everything. But to them, the Shadow and the Void see the light as super evil. I mean, the light came around and imprisoned the old gods. It seeks to push away the Shadow, right? Except the light didn't really do that. The light never actually seemingly had a hand in that. It was kind of all the Titans that did that, which would kind of explain the Shadow's anger towards the Titans and potentially why they would attack the Titans. Now, besides that point, what was Sargeras doing? Well, he was on Argus, but really, when people think of what Argus is, I think they're thinking of it the wrong way. We'll come back to that. Between Fel and Death, there is actually this crystal. I don't know if you guys see this, but crystalline structures. When you look down at a molecular level, when you're actually looking at the structure and shapes of crystalline objects as compared to liquids and other solids, actually, gases, of course, as well. Crystals like diamonds, sapphires, those types of things, a lot of minerals, sugar, salt, they're so perfectly ordered. It's the most ordered thing as humans, really, that we know of. Crystals are pretty much as ordered as you can get. However, we see this here, but where have we seen crystals recently before? I'll tell you. where we've seen crystals recently before. Let me get back into my little folder here. We actually have seen them on Azeroth. 7.3.5 Azerite crystals are bubbling up from the ground. Now, how did those get there? Because, quite frankly, the only other way that you can obtain that is through Order. Now, Order has this crystalline structure, as you can see, that kind of has come over from Shadow. I don't know if there's a relation there, but the thing is that there is Order. And this is order between chaos and death. Sargeras seems to have found a way to use pure chaotic energy and death to create order. So he had terrible means. He was doing things that really allegedly were destroying and burning worlds. That's really how we've always heard the Legion describe it, as another world will burn. Well, what if when the world burns, it actually ends up cleansing it and creating order, like the Titan Pantheon's re-origination was originally supposed to do? How were they actually going to reset the code of the world? How do you reset Azeroth? Which is what the Forge of Origination was actually supposed to be used for. That's kind of the whole point. Algalon was going to use the Omega code and basically send it back and tell the Pantheon, like, shit has gone whack, I'm going to purge the planet. But what happens when you do that? You kill everything on the planet. That's kind of sick, isn't it? Things just kind of got out of control for the Pantheon, and even Algalon, this being of celestial divineness, really didn't even know. They didn't even think that we beings of free will, these beings of flesh that were created by the old gods, probably unbeknownst to the Titans, actually could defeat them. They didn't know. And so what I'm really getting at is, how did this happen? I think this is where Argus comes in. This is what the symbolism, really the meaning of Argus is. Now, I want you to look at something. This is a screenshot taken from the final boss room for Argus, the seat of the Pantheon, and I just want you to notice something. That this planet right here, Argus, is slowly changing in appearance. At the core, it is an orange. I assume at the core, a dark red, symbolizing how Argus was actually supposed to look. I'm wondering if Argus's natural form is actually the red mythic form that we see. Because when he's first being summoned, even on normal and heroic, in the cinematic, he comes out red and then turns blue, as if to shift or cycle some way. What if Argus, by nature, is actually red, as he's a Titan of death, and through death and fell energy, we're actually witnessing here the conversion of death into arcane energy. Because look at the colors are very important for the different types of magic as well. So when you look at this, you can see that it's slowly going red to fell green to blue, and kind of going off into the great dark beyond, this blue energy. It's very interesting that we see fell turning from that. But what is Argus? Now, a lot of people seem to think that Argus is the reason that demons could permanently come back. This is simply not true. When you read Chronicle, the reason that the demons were ever even imprisoned on Mardum by Sargeras was because when he killed them, they went away, and then their souls came back, and he realized that he'd been fighting the same demons. He's like running into the same ones. He's like, what the heck? So he just imprisoned them. Now, I'm starting to wonder, Argus is not the reason that they come back. Argus simply seems to be used as a conduit for this infinite army. The reason that we only even say that is because Khadgar, I believe, in Velen, or might be Turalian in Velen, suggests this in the in-game dialogue. That's what those characters think Argus is, but that doesn't necessarily mean factually that Argus is the one regenerating his infinite army. I just think that's what those characters believe that it is. The characters aren't all-knowing. We even know the light's not all-knowing, so two characters of the light shouldn't know for sure. Now, if you pay attention in the raid, I'm going to play a clip here. If you pay attention in this raid, let me shrink this down for you. If you pay attention, there's this red liquid running through the raid. And it's actually going along the floors here. And as you can see me running through the instance, you'll see more and more, but it's in these little wells. These are like little wells of I assume, Argus's blood. And you can actually see flowing from the soul. Remember, this is flowing away. Flowing away is this red liquid, flowing away from the Titan soul, the world soul. I think this is pure, like, death energy or something coming from Argus. It is, the mythic phase is literally called, like, Titan of Death. That's what Argus is. Argus seems to be a Titan that should have been a member of the Pantheon, whereas ANR kind of embodies life and nature. I think Argus embodies death and probably, potentially crafted the Shadowlands. Now we see this going from this red, it's going in, it looks like it's being manufactured, and then it's going from a dark orange to a lighter yellow as we move down. This is flowing outward. Remember, so this is an input-output situation. And then as it's moving out here, it's getting yellower and yellower, lighter and lighter, and it ends up turning into the fell green that we are very, very familiar with. It kind of goes to this yellow, and then from the other side here, you can actually see that there's fell dripping down. I actually think what we're witnessing here, without even knowing it, is the actual conversion of arcane energy. Like, think about it this way, like, not arcane energy, but just magic energy. Like, take the blood of Azeroth, right? It's pure arcane, it is what it is. If you were to take the blood of Sargeras at this point, it might be pure chaos and fell energy. It's not far-fetched to say that Argus actually contains blood of, like, pure death energy. And what I'm suggesting could be happening here is Sargeras could actually have been using the powers of death and pure chaos to create order. And this could be why we see the crystals popping up out of the ground in Silithus. Now, is the death that's happening from Sargeras? Is it from Cthulhu? Did he stab Azeroth and kill it? Or maybe his sword? Because in all the art of the sword we've ever seen, his sword has never looked as it does stuck in the ground in Silithus right now. We've never actually seen it be portrayed in the manner that it is. But it's gigantic, it's red, it's swirling, and I think it honestly is imbued with pure chaotic energy. Now, if that's true and he stabs the planet, you're then taking this pure chaos, potentially killing something. We'll say maybe he kills Cthulhu. Maybe killing Cthulhu and the old gods literally creates order. Maybe he killed Cthulhu. Who knows? He stabbed that fucker way down there, and Cthulhu is supposed to be imprisoned somewhere below on Courage. So it's not completely far-fetched to say that literally by using pure chaotic energy in conjunction with shadow and death, you actually are able to create pure order. And I'm starting to think that that's what Sargeras was trying to do. We got no explanation from Sargeras when he came out. We got no explanation from Illidan. We got no explanation from the Pantheon. We don't actually have the information that we need to know what the hell is going on right now. The characters and the heroes of Azeroth have really been left out and hung out to dry. Now, this is a rift that you see while fighting Gul'dan. This is the mythic phase at the end. You can see the demon within has come out. The spirit of Sargeras seems to have taken over Illidan, allegedly taken over. However, I'm starting to think it's Azeroth itself, not Sargeras. It's actually the demon of Azeroth, considering there's soul fragments of Azeroth coming out, that has actually taken over. And I think what we could be seeing here in the background is actually the purification of a planet. Now, when you go in and you zoom in on it, this is what it looks like. And we can zoom in real far. It seems to be coalesced with fell energy. Now there seems to be this dark shadowy purple and then this light white and then this bluish arcane almost like between. And honestly, what I'm wondering is if we're actually seeing the purification of a planet. Gul'dan, even after the encounter, after what had happened with Gul'dan, when Illidan comes out, Gul'dan is just shocked at the fact that the rift closed. He seems very distraught at what he saw, and I think this actually might be not exactly what Gul'dan was expecting to see through that rift. I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is Argus. I don't know if it's another planet, but there are other planets that are not void infected, that are not Argus, and that are not Azeroth that are out there. How do I know that? Because we saw it in the cutscenes. We've seen it. We've seen it in Antor's The Burning Throne. We see it in the final boss room. If you look around in this room, there is a planet over here. So we see Argus, we see Azeroth, and then you kind of come over here and pan to the right a little bit. See if I can get that shot. There's actually a planet over here to the side that is not seemingly corrupted by old gods. It's right here. It's not corrupted by old gods, it doesn't look like. But it's also, it looks like maybe it's purified, like ordered. I don't know, you guys. At the end of the day, I don't know exactly what it means. I'm kind of like that skybox fanatic. But I think all of the different things that we're seeing in the skybox, within the raid actually has importance. Like, I think the location of certain planets, I think the color of the sky, the different energies that we see floating in the sky. These other planets that we see floating out here could literally be where the other Titans came from. Like, we can't see these for some reason from Azeroth. Like, we can't see out and see these planets. Like, has anyone thought about that? Like, these planets that you see here, there's like 1, 2, 3. There's one way in the distance there. We see Argus, obviously. Then we have, oh god, there's even more of them there. Like, look right here. There's this big ass planet here. There's these other planets that are like over down this way. There's so much outside of the realms of Azeroth that we don't actually, there's a planet right there. So really what I'm trying to get at is I think there's a hell of a lot more to what's going on. I think Sargeras, as fucked up as the way that he was trying to do it may have been, I think honestly the guy had the right idea. And I think ultimately we are going to learn so much more about this moving forward. We're going to be dealing with literal embodiments of Death Bonsamdi. We're going to be dealing with a lot more Loa, potentially the Shadowlands themselves, more Old God stuff, maybe Nyalotha, which could be in the Shadowlands. Who knows, you guys? But I appreciate it, you making it all the way to the end of this video. I'm sure there is more stuff hidden on this map too, you guys. You just got to come in here and check it out. There's just weird stuff. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that each big primal force has an avatar, like Sargeras, the Naru, Wild Gods, Titans, and Old Gods, but the Undead don't have one, and it just doesn't make sense to me. There's some weird stuff going on here. So make sure you like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to my channel if you did enjoy this content, if you would like to hear more future stuff. We get so many viewers that come here and they watch, but they never subscribe. So you guys make sure you subscribe. It helps me so much more than a like or a comment ever will. But I love getting your guys' feedback. If you don't know, I do have a Twitter and a Twitch page, which you can find links to down in the description below. I'd love if you guys follow me over there. And we do have a viewer Discord, which I hang out in quite often. It's one of my favorite places to go and just chill with people, discuss, and lorecraft, theorycraft, lorecraft. I don't know. We're doing new, great, huge, great, big things, new, greatness. Make Warcraft great again. Anyways, you guys, that's it. Until next time, I love you guys very much. Stay awesome, and I'll see ya. Peace.